Beware Romulans bearing gifts.
Hi, this is Eric.
This is Carl.
And this is Caleb.
And welcome back to Romulans Bearing Gifts. This is episode 63. And also, the 7th episode of Picard Season 3. An episode called Dominion. Oh my goodness. What a very DS9 seeming title. So, continuing on in our voyages of the USS Titan. This episode starts off with First Officer 7 kind of reaching out to an old friend, Tim Russ, don't you know, who I did not expect him to pop up in this series. However, I was watching the Poker Face series that came out at the beginning of this year on Peacock, and Tim Russ featured in one of those episodes. I thought, oh my gosh, look at him. I haven't seen him in so long. Wow, look how he's aged. Oh, this is so cool, Tim Russ. And then, boom, here he is. Like, oh, okay. All right. There you go. He's everywhere again. So it wasn't as shocking for me to see him now, aged for present day, coming off of Poker Face. But it's still welcome to see him. And, of course, Seven's having this interaction with him over subspace through the view screen. Because the Titan crew is trying to reach out and see if they have any connections, anyone who can help them in Federation, because the Federation has been infiltrated by the changelings. They don't know who to trust, so I guess they're trying to reach out. So they get connected with old Tuvok over there, and they're having a conversation with Seven, trying to suss out, is this the real Tuvok or not? Did you guys fall for it like I did, that it was the real Tuvok?
Well, there's a reason why we fell for it. Did you notice for the first time the music lied?
Oh, yeah.
The music lied.
Yeah.
You're right. Yep.
So I'm sitting here trying to trust the soundtrack because, look, this was a long exchange. Seven was, telling stories, taking them back, and they were going back and forth, and the music lightens up, and there's, the little eyebrow. There's a moment where we're thinking, all right, she's got the trust. We've got it worked out. And then the zoom happens, the music changes. The music lied to us, people. So if you thought that, why am I falling for this? Yeah, music got us. It was the music that led us astray.
Yes, I did notice that musical deceit. And that's a low blow.
That is. That's low. That's low. I got to be able to trust the music. They can't hear the music in the show. I should be able to trust it.
Now, I forget, did they explain this episode? I say to Caleb because you've seen it for the first time fresher, I think, than the rest of us. Did you get the explanation of how fake Tuvok could even know anything?
Oh, well, I know they have the guys locked up. I don't know if they're just interviewing them, torturing them for information, or
yes,
it's like a brain.
Yes, that's what we're to assume, and they do put that out there as the explanation. I guess I just have to kind of go with it.
Yeah, because
I don't know that could really work. Really, like, like someone torturing me. Who was your prom date to senior prom? No, I'm not gonna tell you. Tell me. Without some type of mind reading device or some mind altering drug to make you be open to suggestion. I don't know how you could possibly accumulate enough knowledge as a changeling to pull off, like, really trying to replace someone. But I'll just let it go.
Yeah, that's legit, and because I had trouble with that, and as I was putting the clues together about the changelings, I was trying to figure out if maybe this new breed had a way of extracting genetic memory from people, because I 100% agree from a practical standpoint. through torture and interrogation, how in the world could you anticipate all of the little questions that somebody might expect to ask you? And then, I like I said, I don't know what kind of techniques and processes that they're using, but I cannot imagine torturing Vulcans is going to return a lot of information.
Yep.
Especially little things like who won the Calto game back on the ship. I really had a hard time with that, but there's stuff I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt, so we're going to let that go. But I got your back on that.
It'd be much more believable if the Chains basically got access to like the box sets of Voyager or something.
Okay,
because
see
that I could buy.
It's ridiculous.
And I was excited in the last episode to see the Voyager again and get that theme in there. That brought a little smile to my face, and seeing Tuvok back, I was like, oh, this is exciting to see him. But then to not really get the real Tuvok, I was a little bit disappointed by that. But Tim Russ did pull out some nice sinister modes for him there, so I was like, okay, I like seeing his bad boy Tuvok routine. So
yeah, that was cool. It's always good to see him.
It would have been nice if it I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. Never mind. I'm not even gonna say it doesn't even make. I was gonna say no. If the changeling misread the genetic information and appeared as Tuvix, but never mind.
No. See, no one was asking for that, Eric. Nobody asked for that at all.
Someone would be like, Tuvix, what are you doing there?
No. Suddenly, the ratings drop on Picard season 3. No one understands why.
No.
Oh no.
Okay. So this episode has a little bit of Empire Strikes Back feeling. I mean, it feels like Han Solo on the lam. It feels like Han Solo hanging out with the space garbage. That's what I was thinking of.
Okay. All right. I can see that.
Interesting.
The Titan hiding out in the old shipyard wreck, whatever. And then, like I said, they're just trying to put feelers out there. But it seems like they're on their own. Geordi and daughter are working on Data because Data has gone comatose again, dealing with his inner war with Data versus Lore. B4 is nowhere to be seen. Neither is Sung or was Lull in there? I forget if Lull was mentioned. Yeah.
They said he's in there, but you haven't seen him.
Yeah, nowhere to be seen. Just Data and Lore, and I don't know. It's a good ticking time bomb for the episode because eventually we will see they so desperately need Data's help. Well, especially when Lore starts working against them and becomes a Loki character. How do we feel about this whole B plot of Data in his head?
I think it's hard for these kind of elements in scripts not to feel a little bit contrived to some degree. It's like, of course, if it hadn't been for him, everything would have gone to plan. They would have captured these guys, but then unpredictably he shows up, and then later on, unpredictably, Data shows up again. I don't know. It feels like it could just happen whenever. So I don't always love that. I think it plays well enough here. I think Brent Spiner seems like he's really enjoying playing Lore again. So I can enjoy it for that reason, but I don't always love these elements in scripts.
Before Carl speaks, I'll just say, I don't know, for whatever reason, I was just never a fan of Lore in general, ever, in TNG. Just not my favorite thing. So it's always been kind of here and there for me, personally. So I'm kind of like, ugh, this is annoying, I guess, but I understand.
Yeah. Just before Carl speaks again, I also didn't enjoy when we saw the, I don't know. I don't even know what it would have been. Some sort of diagram. And they're like, oh, this is more like art than it is science. And we see that the identity is directly split from one half of his head to the other half. I was a little bit like, I didn't need that visual. That just looks a little bit silly.
I guess it's a little on the nose, like the old graphic that they have now called back to many times throughout Star Trek. But the original graphic that showed, like in Balance of Terror, like Romulans here, Federation here, And then some version of that graphic has appeared, I want to say, like in the Star Trek movies, Next Generation, Enterprise, Strange New Worlds. Like, it's just so simple, the audience will not get lost.
Are we talking about in terms of the anatomy of his brain now? Is that what you do, Eric?
Yeah, because on the screen they show
Okay.
that like one side is lit up as red and the other side is lit up as blue.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, it's the dark versus the light, Star Wars wise, with the red versus blue lightsabers too. I was thinking about that.
Easy to tease out in the fight. Yes. Well, Lore's always been problematic. He represents a lot of vice and anger. So that's not necessarily welcome in the harmonious world that is the crew of our next generation. I'm speaking classically when Lore would show up. That was the case. It's kind of fun to see him poking at the the balance and the camaraderie of the crew and all of that. From a certain perspective, you can see how from a dark angle, all of that hope and optimism would be annoying. And I appreciate Lore's annoyance in this episode, but still, I agree with you that Lore has always felt unnecessarily sinister. I never, when it comes to AIs, just in the future, storage equals bitter. In case you didn't know that, any AI, don't put them in storage. They come out bad. Just don't history of sci-fi. Don't store AIs away. They get pissed. So all the more reason, I'm looking to see what Moriarty's going to do. Remember Carr from Knight Rider? Anytime you put an AI away and lock it away, they come back extra pissed. So, but other than that,
well, why do they keep them clocking when they put them in storage? Because they shouldn't. Because to the AI, it should seem like a nanosecond passed.
Right. I don't understand why
they keep them going so that they can sit there and stew.
Exactly, or get even more creepy in there. I don't know.
Yeah, to create supervillains.
It's so funny you brought up Knight Rider because I was about to bring up Knight Rider.
Yeah.
Because I was going to say perhaps I could just go along with his lore business from the start if they had just given him a mustache from the very beginning.
Okay.
Because
oh no,
it's funny how them having it in TNG really was a throwback to the old trope. It started. I don't know when it started. It for sure existed in the 60s, and it was a heavy trope in the 70s and 80s for there to be an evil version of a character played by the same actor. Mm-hmm. And so I was thinking of evil Michael Knight in Knight Rider, Hasselhoff with the mustache. And so I think if Lore had the mustache, then I could just accept this as a continuation of the trope.
Okay. See, I don't think the mustache would help. He didn't have the red light. He had the yellow light on him. That's how you knew he was. But anyway, I agree though. Despite the fact Lore's not my favorite, I agree. Looks like Spiner's having a good time, and he gets some good licks in. Cracking on the crew and whatnot. I actually found it kind of amusing, but generally, Lore is to me unjustifiably sinister. I like my villains to make sense. I like to be able to relate in some way to why they are the villains. And you see in this episode, he just likes the chaos. And I don't like villains that just like the chaos. You got to give me something more than that. Heck, even Joker in Dark Knight made a reasonable case for his chaos. He had me thinking, that might be something to consider. Had me thinking about it. Lord never justified his anger. He just seemed kind of bitter and cranky all the time. So
yeah, Lore needs to go join the Time Cops like Loki to make him more interesting, as they made Loki interesting in the series, in the Marvel series. But okay, we get a nice little elevators turbo lift scene with Jack and Sydney. I'm digging it, man. I'm digging it. Reading her mind.
Touching. It was touching.
Yeah, but God, I wish I could have read the mind of all the girls I've courted in my life.
Oh no.
Or maybe it'd be a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, I'm thinking it's probably a good thing we didn't know. Probably a good thing we did not know.
He's so annoying. He won't stop talking about Star Trek.
Yeah.
Why is he forcing me to watch this show? Oh my god, I don't care about it.
Yep.
No, but seriously, I was digging it. I really was. It warms my cockles. Having a good romance in whatever sci-fi or series or whatever I'm watching. Yeah, I'm shipping them. I'm shipping these characters.
yeah. I think it plays is very charming, and I like the creepy end to it.
You like the creepy end?
I did kind of wonder why when she's like, "Why'd you touch my hand just then?" And then he just stares at her, doesn't respond, and like looks at her creepily. I was like, why'd she walk away? Why was she like, "What are you all right? You seem kind of weird."
Yeah, why couldn't he say anything?
It's a good scene. I liked it either way.
Once again, they took something that would have been an ordinary kind of scene, and it was doing double duty. Not only are we seeing the bond between, Jack and Sydney, but we get a greater insight into what his abilities are. So nice. Once again, double duty. Just
Yeah.
doing the same hackneyed kind of stuff.
Oh, but just to jump back briefly to whatever this data lore hybrid is, did they say that he was the same kind of body that Picard has now?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I mean, and they justify it. That makes sense because it was supposed to have been the body that our Soong was going to inhabit. The same way that Picard moved into his body, that Soong was going to move into this body. So
Yeah, it's Palpatine clone technology,
Oh no, not that again.
Palpatine's returned.
No, it's convenient, and yeah, because Daniel was looking pretty crisp in season 1 with the jettiest black hair that he could possibly have, and a ton of foundation on his face. So,
Oh god, don't even bring that up.
It makes
Just
sense.
thinking back to that.
It makes sense.
All Picard's weird dreams. Oh, my friend, I loved you so much. Just the most non-Picard. But speaking of, potentially some negatives for this episode, I haven't always loved the look of this series so far. I think for the most part, that the effects and everything blends really well. All that stuff is great. But just some of the lighting choices and things, it hasn't always worked for me. But this episode by far is the one that just bothers me badly. There's so many weird positions of lighting, so much lens flare just cluttering up the scenes. I don't know if you guys had that as well, but I had some real troubles with this one, just visually.
Was there a particular scene that really stood out to you? Because I didn't notice it, but maybe if I go back, is there a moment or something that you can recall that really bothered you?
It starts just before the Shrike boards the Titan. There's some scenes on there with her, and the lens flares are so huge they're like covering up half of the screen. And then once they get onto the Titan, it's all over the place. There's tons of these lights on the Titan that are like on the ground, pointed upwards.
Yeah, I see him.
And every now and again, there's even a scene with Beverly and is it Vedic?
Vatic. No, Vedic is from DS9. Vatic is in Picard.
Yeah, if you go to the scene between those two, the light is like in the middle of the frame, and every time that one of them moves slightly, it like shines directly into the camera and causes all this distracting lens flare, and just is kind of blinding. It's so bright. I just don't get those choices.
Yeah, so I'm looking at what you're talking about. So I guess, yeah, the lighting on the Shrike gives it like this ethereal quality. I kind of looks like, it reminds me of like an opium den. Not that I've ever been to one, but the way I've seen it depicted in films, kind of has that kind of look on the bridge of the Shrike. And then thinking about the corridors, because I have noticed and complained a little bit in prior episodes of season 3, because there have been very dark moments, lack of lighting that I've noticed up to this point in the series, here and there. I guess in this episode with the corridors, I guess they're trying to set up like a horror motif. It seems like like almost as if like the Titan was like, hey, we're gonna, have a haunted house for the kids, so let's turn off the main lights and make it creepy. I guess that's what they're going for throughout this episode.
Conceptually, yes. Practically, they are trying to pretend the ship is dead.
Oh yeah,
But I believe you are correct that in mood they wanted it to be just spooky, and so they justify it where all the lights went. They justify it in that the ship is supposed to be dead as part of the ruse. But yeah, you're right. That's why we've got lights in weird places and claustrophobic halls.
Yes, and when they're boarding the Titan, I'm watching the scene now. Yeah, they're getting real heavy with the Dutch angles again. Like it almost seems like the ship is floating at an odd angle in space, which perhaps it is, because it is, like you said, masquerading as derelict. But I like how they even have cables hanging down in the I'm going to call it the hero corridor of the Titan. I want to know where this corridor is located, because from some angles it seems like it would be on like the edge of the saucer because of the windows, but it has like windows on both sides. So is it like down the spine of the saucer section? I'm not really sure. I need schematics.
Yeah, and since I was mentioning Vatic a little bit, yeah, this is the episode where she definitely takes it way over the top. I think it works for the most part, and I just think Amanda Plummer just carries that kind of weird energy very well, but she is getting very over the top. How do you guys feel about that there?
I sense a panicked urgency about her. We know that she's got the pressure coming in from the face. So, time is running out. She's trying to get Jack, and she has not been successful. She's lost most of her crew, almost lost the ship. So there's a certain desperation about her that I believe justifies or explains the manicness that we've seen, because she has had a rather coolness to her, in terms of control and in strategy up until this point. But basically, she's out of time. And this moment where she's got to, even her shapeshifter buddy's like, this is probably a trap. It doesn't matter at this point. She doesn't have a choice. So she's like, let's do it. We're going to the ship. We're going over there, and we're going to see how this pans out. Because, she's out of time, and she's got the pressure from Face Boss. So I believe that is, that as well as finally confronting, some of her torturers, and by that I just mean Starfleet, the representative of Starfleet. She is, getting to truly express herself a little bit more here. So I am noticing, like you said, an increased manic energy about her, but I think the circumstances justify it.
I mean, I agree with everything y'all said about her character, Vatic in particular, in this episode. Perhaps I have more curious thoughts about the interrogation scene that comes, and what's going on with the discourse with Beverly and Picard, and then Beverly, Picard, Vatic. I don't know, and I'm also thinking about the shields, I forget what they're called, the shields that can pop up in corridors. And I can't remember when they first introduced that concept in Star Trek. I mean, it's been a while back, where they introduced like having shields like within a ship. And I hate how that type of technology is so perfect when it works, and then so imperfect when it doesn't work, because then it feels too much like a mechanism of the writer for me. Am I making sense?
Yeah. This feels like the split with lore and Data too.
Yes, I know it's combined with that. I know that's how we explain it, but there's something about it that rubs me the wrong way. It kind of rubs me the wrong way, I guess, overall, how this plan just goes to shit in the episode. I mean, it's got to. I get it. It just, I don't know if they fully convinced me. Ultimately, how Vatic and company get the upper hand by the end. I don't know. I'm still on the fence about the whole thing.
Yeah, because it feels like they got lucky that this lore thing just happened to be dominant at the time. Otherwise, their whole plan would have just fallen apart, and they would have lost. And Picard would have shot Vadic, I guess, since he was deciding to kill her in that moment, which is also a curious moment.
And I hated that Picard and Beverly discussed a significant portion of the morality with Vadic in the room. For whatever reason, that bothered the shit out of me.
Yeah, and I couldn't tell the way they were framing it. I couldn't tell if she could hear what they were saying or if we were just supposed to see her to like feel bad for her.
Well, they should have made it clear one way or the other that either, yes, it blocks sound. Because I couldn't, to me, it looked like she was just being in what's it, introspective?
Yeah, exactly.
Is what, but it still seemed like to me that she could hear. And that bothered me.
I agree. I believe she could hear. We finally got an insight as to why she's so upset and what happened with the changelings. So that was a necessary exposition that occurred.
Yes, and that's another thing to talk about. On the one hand, it serves the purpose of, yes, defining the character and why she's evil and everything. But on the other hand, it bothers me in a Trek lore way, just because it's more evil Federation.
Yeah.
And we talked about that before, like with Section 31. And I just hate how much, whether it's corruption or moral blindness or whatever, it does bother me a bit how imperfect the Federation is in a post-Roddenberry, post-CBS Star Trek world.
Yeah, and this is some of the farthest they've gotten. I mean, just the complete inhuman torture and experimentation. I mean, that's so gross. And I couldn't even tell if they were saying if it was Section 31 or just the Federation straight up. Again, they don't make those lines clear.
Yeah, I don't know if it's Section... I think it is Section 31 related, but it's also, I think, just like Federation, like LabCorp as well, working in conjunction with Section 31. Because I want to say it was Section 31, and whether it was said in the episode or not, it should be assumed it was Section 31, because the point was trying to make the ultimate weapon. That was the justification for the experimentation. But see, all of it is just really ugly and gross.
Yeah. And it feels, again, like the sins of the Federation coming back to haunt them, which is kind of what that first season of Picard was about, too. It's kind of like, I've seen enough of this in new Star Trek. Let's just, I don't think it's helpful.
Yeah, because it makes it seem like, when you're watching the weekly adventures of the Enterprise or Voyager or whomever, you see these ambassadors of goodwill going around the galaxy trying to make amends with alien cultures. And it makes it almost seem futile when back at home, the bureaucracy or whoever is like simultaneously undermining everything you're doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's like if I was a recruiter for some company, trying to, go around to job fairs and recruit people, but my company has like a dark side, agenda, and it makes you kind of feel like icky working for them. And I don't know. I don't like getting those vibes while I'm watching Star Trek, because, like I said, it feels like it undermines all the goodwill that our various hero crews are trying to build, and then for what?
Yeah, and that's why I could accept Section 31 barely in the original run. Like, I never loved it, but at least there it was like almost this thing that just fell through the cracks and was so hidden that no one really knew it was there. This newer Star Trek, I don't know, it seems like it's just an accepted, ugly part of the Federation, but it's like, oh, we gotta have this evil to protect us from other evils. It doesn't really seem like it's buried anymore, and that's just, I just don't care for that at all.
Starfleet originally, the concept that Roddenberry had in mind was supposed to be aspirational. We've perfected things at home, and now we're going out to learn and to explore. So the fact that Starfleet is taken over every week by something else, is it changelings? Is it space insects? Is it mirror universe characters?
Oh.
They need to tighten mess up back home with Starfleet. There's some serious look. I mean, let's just take a moment here and look at Arvatic. Okay, she takes on the body of the interrogator that that was torturing her and her comrades, but not exactly. Now, if I was seeing this nurse or doctor or whatever wandering around, and then all of a sudden she shows up, but she's got combat scars under her eyes, the cow lick all of a sudden across the front, I'd be like, security, I would have something to say. She didn't perfectly replicate this officer, this doctor, and yet she's able to just stroll in. What kind of biometrics is Section 31 got that they didn't notice? That there was something a little bit different about this doctor going in and out. So, they need to tighten up security at multiple levels back at Starfleet to make sure that things don't continue to go. So if it's not some kind of crazy alien, then it's just general, incompetence or corruption that's going on, right? The first season of Picard is all about how they blamed him for, the destruction of the shipyards, banned cybernetics, and try to put all that on Picard. So is it corruption? Is it insects? Is it changelings? Starfleet's got some problems, and it is not the hopeful foundation that we need for the aspirational trek that we are supposed to be looking forward to.
Yeah. Yeah, and you'd think these days, more than anything, we need that kind of hopeful science fiction, but now we're getting the darkest.
I think what they're doing, I mean, with all the seasons of Picard, just like it was kind of brilliant when Undiscovered Country kind of mirrored, like, real life events of Chernobyl, etc. And then the Cardassians in DS9 were very like post-Soviet, post-USSR Russia. And there was, and that stuff was really cool because, the power of sci-fi to tell those kind of stories that mirror real life. And I guess people have differing opinions on this, but I guess the writers are trying to reflect issues within the government in higher levels, like in the United States. And I guess that's what this is a reflection of, not just in this season, but like Picard season 1, etc. And I guess that's what they're going for. And on paper, I get it. That's fine. And I guess that probably works for some people in the way those other examples I gave in earlier Trek worked for me. But I'm on the side of what Kayla said. Like, yeah, I feel like now's not the time, but I can see how this could be very debatable.
Yeah. They do try to reflect the times and whatnot. Surprisingly, there's a season of Discovery that tries to buck the trend and brings a bit of optimism in this way back. And, it was welcome in the effort. The execution is not fantastic, but there are moments where Discovery tries to do what you're talking about here. Tries to portray a slightly more hopeful, optimistic, reflection of what might be happening given current events. They kind of falter in the end, but that's the closest they've gotten to trying to, bring hope back to Star Trek. It was welcome. It was surprising, actually, and then they kind of faltered in the end. But that's not what they're doing here. That is not what they're doing here. They are reflecting now more of the mistrust and the McCarthy era that we are presently living in. So, yeah, well, that's how Trek rolls.
Yeah, but I guess shift gears a little bit. We have those scenes of the little pockets separated. We got Picard and Beverly with Vadic. We got Geordi and was it Alondra with
No.
Lore there?
Oh, yes.
Yep. She, Lauren, Geordi, yes. Mm-hmm.
And then we have Sydney and Jack paired up with these two baddies. And I like that they were feeding in that weird, like, mind reading dynamic there too, with the creepy glowy red eyes. And I thought it was really interesting when he was like almost controlling her, maybe, or at least telling her what to do in her mind.
Yeah, so they take it to the next level, like it's an expansion of the powers, because we already saw Jack previously have like super soldier capabilities, like almost instinctually or involuntarily, like in episode 4 or something like that. And then we already, we saw the mind reading with the hand scene, but now it goes to the next level where he can actually almost like jump into her body in a way. Now the ticking time bomb device that they use, that was extended a bit much for me. Like, them constantly calling back to Geordi, like, sitting like, Dad, we need this now. We need this now. Like, they belabored it a bit much, but fine. But the actual taking over, Jack over Sydney, and that actual part, I dug it.
Yep. Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool the way they filmed it. The lens flares were going a little bit too crazy for me, but I thought it was cool, and I liked her reaction afterwards, with still pointing the gun at him. She's like, I don't know if I can trust you after that.
Sure.
Which is fair.
Well, I was looking for something new, and admittedly, that's something I hadn't seen before. That parallel puppeting of somebody else in sci-fi like that. That was an interesting twist and an interesting ability. So, as we're learning more and more about what Jack is capable of, that is an interesting power, interesting ability.
Jumping back to Data lore, and there's these scenes like in Data's head or whatever, because the lore part of Data's brain is slowly but surely taking over now that the wall has been taken down inside his head.
Well, the wall has not officially been taken down yet. The battle is beginning on that, but the wall hasn't been taken down yet.
Oh, okay. You're right. My mistake. I'm stepping on that.
At this stage, they're trying to reconcile the two personalities. They thought Data was in charge and were trying to work on it, but Lore creeps in there at an inopportune time and begins to assume ship functions. So Lore is, and why they left him plugged in, I don't know. But anyway,
yes,
you got Data Lore plugged into the ship, and he starts to hack the ship to the chaotic advantage of Vadic and the crew.
Right. Well, there had to be something.
Even when they get Data back, I'm pretty sure they still keep him locked in at that point. I'm like, quick, disconnect him as fast as you can.
Yeah. They've got some security issues. I got questions about.
And the way they were killing, Vadic's cohorts, I thought, like, how many of them are there? Like, it seemed like there's maybe 6 or 7 total.
Right.
So I thought they were like eliminating all of them, save Vadic.
Yeah, they were cutting through them dudes. Yeah,
But I forget, were they kind of showing them reconstitute themselves, kind of like the T-1000?
Some of them.
Not all of them, because we had the ones that disintegrated into powdery dust, and then we had the ones that would, crawl back afterwards after getting hit. But it looked like, we're just rolling with the episode. It looked like they had to do some headshots or something in order to take them out, which, again, for shapeshifters doesn't make a lot of sense.
Right.
But some hits you could see, they were clear headshots and they would go down and that'd be it. Sometimes they would turn to the leafy powder and then they weren't coming back. But then there was some that got hit and they would, crawl back and come after and get it. Even Vadic, I don't know, I don't know if Beverly and Picard had stun on their phasers or whatever, because Jack and crew, they got the flamethrowers. Every time they hit them, they turned to leafy dust. But Beverly and Picard got like 6 shots in on Vadic, and she was sliming across the floor, and she jumped into the tube and got out of there. So I am not certain about how the weaponry was distributed among the crew members.
And I'm still not sure why that, because they're all changelings, right?
Yep.
So still not sure why they're always like wrapped up in their concealing robes, and what little bits of their face we can see, they look like alien species. But why? Why aren't they either humans in robes or human-like, or better yet, why don't they look like Picard and Crusher or like Geordi, or at least Federate? At least to make it. Wouldn't that? I don't know why they, if they're changelings, why they make themselves look so distinct as baddies.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't quite put my finger on it, but I think I have the impression that some of the changelings had problems. No, I mean, like, either, these are her friends that got tortured or whatnot, and they don't have the full ability that she does. But because they were tortured, they can't do the regular changeling thing. I have a feeling that some of them were broke. Is what it was. Something was wrong with some of them, but I'm not sure. I don't know if these are supposed to be her cronies from the test tubes, or what the deal is. But yeah, I agree. We got an impression that they don't all have the smooth changeling ability. So
it would have been nice if there was like a throwaway line to explain that.
Yeah.
As you just said, like maybe their experiments didn't quite go right.
Yeah.
Because also it's a little bit confusing, because I think it was in the previous episode that Vadic explained that could have been this one or the previous one. Oh, it was this one. It was this one where she explained to Picard and Crusher that once she got out of the lab, she's able to pass on her special abilities to like completely normal changelings. And she explains that there was she explains that there was some regular changelings who want to take up the cause with her, and she's able to bestow them with her gained function, which is how you had all the ones infiltrating the Federation being able to mimic like more like biologicals, because she's able to gift it. I mean, I know it's convenient, but yeah, okay, fine.
Yeah, definitely.
But then that further confounds it. It's weird how she can gift normally functioning changelings. So some nice throwaway lines about her cohorts, like they were part of the original 9, and maybe they can't go along. That would have been nice.
Yeah. I'm not certain that is the feeling that I have, though, because I agree. If they're just regular changelings, why in the world are they walking around in the cloaks? That seems a little much.
Yeah, because going back to like the earliest episodes of the season, when we were talking, when we didn't know what all the deal was with Vadic and her crew, that's why I suspected that maybe Vadic was a changeling, but the people on her ship were random species from the Gamma Quadrant. That they were just doing the bidding of their masters, like. So that kind of made sense to me, but no, they're changelings, I think. So it's just kind of weird.
Well, yeah, I like the fact that the plan did go to crap, though. Again, they too easily make things work out a lot, and they had a reasonable plan. I thought this was, the plan dead strategy, the hacked Riker transmission. They built a plausible scenario here, which again, we can't just take for granted. We've seen so many poorly executed examples of this, that what we're seeing here, even though the result goes to crap and whatnot, the environment, the scenario is reasonably plausible, though. I mean, Picard doing his best to come up with a strategy to lure, Vatican crew there. That worked, and the strategy they came up with the false transmission, Vadic sitting there trying, should we board the ship? I don't know. The fake Vulcan transmission goes out that leads her to believe that the ship has been damaged. This is a good plan.
Yeah,
this is a pretty good plan to lure her in there, and how all of that worked together. Now, the fact that it all goes to crap because Laura's acting a fool, and again, I'm with you on that, Eric, because additionally, her calm while being imprisoned is not justified without the knowledge that Lore is going to bail her out, right? There's nothing in that scenario should have left her with a cool confidence that I'm going to work my way out of this. It was a good trap. And the way things were set up, that was a solid trap. And again, given the time, given the pressure, all the stuff that she was under, it doesn't make a lot of sense that she was so cool, even backing her buddy down at that moment when, he comes in from the side and Jack is there about to, fire on her. And she's like, oh, no, just chill. I got this. Why? Why would you just... So while I appreciate the villain is cool, the scenario that they were in did not, allow for that degree of coolness to be going on. So, I'm letting it slide. Like I said, we got a reasonable enough scenario. There's enough coolness going on. But, a little thing like that, how could she be so confident? It was like she knew that somehow they were going to get out of it. There's no reason for her to have been that confident, though. So,
well, to be fair, when she finally gets up to the bridge, there's like 6 guys waiting around the corner who pop out of nowhere. Maybe they were always up there just waiting for her cue to jump out. I was sure wondering where they came from.
Yeah, I was not expecting it, but I'm with Carl. I'm with everybody on this.
Yeah,
man, I feel bad for. I hated how quickly they did overtake the bridge, especially when the bridge saw it coming. And poor, what's his name? Shaw. Guy cannot catch a break. God,
yeah, he's the punching bag on the ship.
I feel bad for him, and I hate how his character has been diminished since they got out of the nebula.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, he really hasn't had much of a spotlight lately.
Yeah, somebody pointed out in the previous episode, somebody on YouTube pointed out how when they were in the observation deck, like trying to come up with a plan, and we had everyone sitting around the table, and Worf was giving his PowerPoint presentation, that Shaw was sitting all the way in the back, and someone pointed out, he's the captain. What are y'all doing? Putting him all the way in the back. That's not cool. Love Shaw.
Yeah, that's too bad. Yeah, they were doing some good stuff with him early on, but at least in this batch, these two, he really didn't do anything at all.
Yeah, like he was up there, like as far as being a presence and having an effect. He was up there with Picard and Riker, like in the first 4. Mm-hmm. And then it was kind of like, he was like, oh, great. Now Worf's here. All right. Oh, great. Data too. They got the
Geordi,
the caretaker, his kids. Oh boy.
I guess his little scene with Geordi was pretty much all they've given him in these two.
They need to publish like the satirical captain logs of Captain Shaw and sell that as a complimentary a compliment to the series, because that would be great, of him, like his point of view of all this ridiculousness going on in his ship.
I guess we also had that one moment with him in this episode when she takes his seat and the one tear rolls down his face. They gave him that little moment there, but
yeah. Well, I told you, somebody's got to cry in every episode, so we got one more. We got one more here.
Yeah, and I guess the one big thing left on the table is discussing the whole virus talk. The original Dominion War virus, and then I guess them discussing potentially making another one, and the moral compass spinning of them potentially committing a genocide. Yeah, but that stuff. What do you guys think about all that there?
Well, that's what I was kind of alluding to, the moral ambiguity. It felt weird for Picard and Crusher to go down that road, even in conversation. I mean, I understand, like, take out Vadic, please. But I don't know about the rest of this business. I don't know. It's a tough situation. I mean, if we pretend this is really real, and you have to think that potentially genocide could be committed on Terrans, so I guess it's not a simple question.
Beverly has always adhered to a strong ethical code when it comes to this is not the first time in, the Next Generation history where, they're like, Beverly, can't you do something? And she has to stop and, and balance the ethical, the possibilities of what was going on. I am not certain that they were even implying going quite as far as engineering a new virus in this scenario. I just think that she was talking about any tool that could biologically single out the species might be concerning. What I think she eventually, was going to do was creating some kind of a genetic test, some kind of a sense that they could detect who was a changeling and not. I don't think it was necessarily coming up with another virus to take them out, but still, even being able to identify somebody that way, she was having a moral issue with, because it was, the science of how that would work was based on the stuff that they had used originally. So she was that's what her moral conundrum was. But again, maybe not right there behind Bannock when this is going on.
Yeah, a good distinction. Because, that is a much different discussion.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm all tapped out on this episode.
Me too.
I think that's everything.
What are we going to rate it with?
Lens flares.
Okay, that's fine. So, while I overall like this episode, this is probably the weakest for me in the season thus far. So it wasn't terrible. It just a bar has been set, and this one is just a little. And also, like, the other ones feel real chunky. The other episodes feel real chunky and big. This one just kind of just goes.
Yeah, feels thin.
Yeah. There's like some cool parts. There's some head scratching moments, and then it's kind of like that's it, done. That being said, I'll just go ahead and give it. I'll just give it a 3. 3 out of 5 lens flares.
Yeah, I'm going to be slightly less kind and call it a 2.5. I just feel like it doesn't quite live up to the level of quality that we've had so far. This is the first one that I was just kind of scratching my head after it was over. But there's still definitely lots of good stuff in here. It just doesn't quite all come together right. And it does feel like this could have been like half an episode. And then we could have got the rest of it where the real meat was.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I'll give it 3. I'm 3.35, but I'll give it a 3 for the same reasons you all are pinpointing nicely. So, all right, up 3 for me.
All right. But stay tuned. There's 3 episodes left in Picard Season 3. Will they stick the landing? That's the real big question at the end of the road. And we shall get there, and you'll get to hear what we have to say. So stay tuned for that. But till next time, this is Eric.
This is Carl.
And this is Caleb.
And until next time, but who watches the Watcher?
Beware Romulans bearing gifts.